Yeah, so today we will go to topic like so touchful, and I know many of you wanted to learn more about this topic. It's how war in Ukraine affect children, and today with you will be Oksana and me, and also we will have guest speaker who will join to us a little bit later. He's a teacher in one of Ukraine school in Kiev region, and he will tell more about how children like is studying during the war, how they feel the war by themselves. And I think I could share my screen. One moment. Uh, yes. Okay. Yeah, do you see my screen? I hope you see. Yeah?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, this is okay. So today with you is, as I mentioned, Oksana and me, but our colleagues Irina and Alexandra also help create this presentation. And we start with a weekly newsletter as usually. And I think I will go. One moment. I will go shortly. So what is happening in Ukraine right now? I guess many of you already know about Mariupol, like the city in the south of Ukraine in the Donetsk region. Unfortunately, the full city for now is occupied by Russia. And advisor to Mariupol Maria Petro Andrushenko said that on June 8, there is a catastrophic lack of medical staff in the city. Moreover, Russian occupying forces persuade locals who like over 18 years of age to come back to work at a hospital. They like force locals to work, and like for now about 100,000 Ukrainians remains trapped in blockade Mariupol without like food, water, like clean water, like for drinking, and other facilities. Um, Zelensky, our president, said that more than 2,500 Mariupol defenders. We mentioned about Mariupol defenders in previous session. If you remember, so they are in Russian captivity, and our president said that it's not an interest of Russia to torture the defenders of Mariupol, because for now they become a public prisoners, which means that for now whole world knew about defendants of Mariupol, and like not only Ukrainians, not only Ukrainian political and governments do something to like freedom liberate them from Russian captivity. Um, Another thing is news about Kherson region, Kherson Oblast, which is also occupied by Russians now. Ukrainians Operation Commons South, like Pivden, said that on June 8, due to the lack of medicine, it is difficult to threat injected civilians in Kherson Oblast. And unfortunately, many civilian houses and infrastructure has been damaged. Another thing also, and what is like more important, so for now Ukrainians who live in occupied by Russians region in especially in Kherson Oblast, they don't have opportunity to be evacuated to Ukraine. They only chance like to get out from Kherson region to them is like cross the border with Crimea Peninsula, which is occupied by Russia from 2014. Another thing that Ukraine and Russia exchanged bodies of fallen soldiers, and it was according like 50-50 formula. So that means that like equal amount of bodies was exchanged. And as far as I know, it's like the first big official bodies exchanging. So out of this 50 bodies of soldiers, there were 37 defendants of Azovstal. I guess many of you already hear about Azovstal and these like terrible scenes which were in Azovstal. So for now, 37 fallen Ukrainian defenders, their body are in Ukraine. Another news, yeah, it's like more optimistic. Ukrainian tennisist player Elena Svitolina joined the United 24 initiative as ambassador. And what is like United 24 initiative? It's like a platform dedicated to collecting charities funds in order to support Ukraine. And Elena Svitolina, he will work together with Ukrainian football player Andriy Shevchenko, like as ambassador. And also it's important to mention that during like first 4 weeks of United 24 activity, more than $52.5 million was collected to cover Ukrainians' need. And another like sharing activity is that Zelensky Vyshyvanka. If you had what is mean Vyshyvanka, you can see it on picture. It is like our traditional Ukrainian embroidery, and Zelensky Vyshyvanka was sold like for $100,000 at a charity auction. And this it is also a part of United 24 initiative. Yep. And then another news. Okay. During the speech of Charles Michel, it's like UN Secretary Council, like European Council President, he said that unfortunately now Russia use food supplies as a threat missile against developing countries. And I know UPG have lecture sessions dedicated actually to agriculture, about like food security. But for now, we see that how like our not our, but world food security connected with war in Ukraine. So the thing is that Ukraine, before the full-scale invasion, Ukraine produced so many wheat, so many products abroad, grain. And for now, because of full-scale invasion, Russia blocked Ukrainian exports, and that is like a really beginning of food crisis. Another news is that Latvia like the country in Europe banned like all Russians TV channels until the end of war in Ukraine, and it is about 80 TV channels, and you could like imagine 80 just after this session. Like, guys, just check how many Russians TV channels do you have in your country, but Latvia banned 80 of them. And the thing is that, like, Vimoha, they said that they will, like, not only they will become bandit, not only the ending of the war, but till the returning occupied Crimea Peninsula to Ukraine. Another news. I will try to go quickly. Oh, okay. Something was wrong with photo, but unfortunately for now, like Russia still destroying Ukrainian school. Russia shellings, Russia airstrike inject civilians, and according like to official data from Ukrainian ministry, Interior Ministry, the Russian airstrikes in Bakhmut, in Donetsk, they destroyed like school, completely destroyed, and you can see how it's connected with studying with children. The number of casualties is still unknown. In Kharkiv region, which is in the eastern of Ukraine, Russian soldiers, actually, Russian shellings killed like 5 civilians and 20 people are injected like in past 24 hours. Oh, sorry. How should I do it? Okay. Something goes wrong. One moment. I will finish in my 1 moment. Sorry, guys. Yeah, and the thing is that the same situation we see not only in Bakhmut, but also in Kharkiv and Kyiv region. Yep, you can see my screen, yes or no?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No,
Sorry. Yeah, now I guess you could see my screen. Yeah. And even hospitals are attacked by Russia. And I guess it's all from newsletter from me. And for now, we will go deeply actually for our topic, how the war in Ukraine affect children. And I think I should pass the word to Oksana. Oksana.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I will start with the crimes against children in Ukraine. As you see in the slide, as of today, 263 children have been killed and 488 children were injured. Actually, this data is not precise because we don't have the information about what is going on the occupied territories. Russian authorities, they do not share this information, so we can only predict what is going on there. Next slide, please. And now we're moving to another war crime, which is rape. We have discussed it several times, right? This topic during our sessions, and just recently, yesterday, the president of the European Council, Charles Michel, at the UN Security Council, stated that. Yet, as we speak, we hear reports of Russian forces wielding sexual violence as a weapon of war. Sexual violence is a war crime, a crime against humanity, a tactic of torture, terror, and repression, shameful acts in a shameful war. And this must be exposed to the light of day and prosecuted without impunity. Unfortunately, this also concerns children. We do not have the statistic of children raped by Russian forces in Ukraine, since, again, it is impossible to identify the cases that take place in the occupied and currently occupied territories. Further, many people, they just refuse to witness on such crimes. But even those facts that have been already established and revealed are more than terrifying. Now I will share some pieces of information about these kind of war crimes that we have decided not to put on slides. But still, this is something that you have to know, something that the media is considered to be sensitive content, and it is. But when next time someone complains you about high prices due to sanctions imposed on Russia, or too much money allocated to the support of Ukraine, or someone claims that Europe has to push Ukraine to agree to any Russia's conditions in order to come back to normal life with cheap gas and oil, you will know what to answer. You will know what the political leaders know, because they know in details what Russian troops are doing to our children. But even some of them are still hesitating and keep calling Putin to save his face, while I think that there is nothing to save. So on May, Ukraine's former commissioner for human rights, Lyudmila Denisova, you can find her page on Twitter and read a lot about them. So she reported on some cases of Russian soldiers raping and killing children in Ukraine. In one case reported by the residents in the village of Oleksandrivka, which is near the southern Ukrainian city of Kherson, which is currently occupied now. Two girls aged 12 and 15 were raped by Russian troops. In another incident, an infant girl of 6 months was raped with a spoon. In another case, twin toddler boys, 2 years old, were sexually assaulted in front of their mother. 5 Russian soldiers broke in and 4 of them raped the toddlers in pairs, while the 5th soldier was holding the mother to make her watch. Both children died of reproaches and blood loss. In another case of sexual violence, a 3-year-old toddler boy was raped in front of his mother by 2 Russian soldiers. This child also died of injuries and stayed in the brutal assault. In several cases, the raped girls stated that Russian soldiers told them they were going to rape them till the moment they can be sure that the victims would never have sex with any man in the future. Denisova, Ukrainian ombudsman, claimed that Russia uses rape and sexual violence in other forms as warfare tactics, systematically everywhere and with shocking brutality. And yet, that's not all what they do. Danka, please move to the next slide. So, according to the Deputy Interior Minister of Ukraine, Katerina Pavlichenko, at briefing in Kyiv on 3rd of June, there is an information that at least 234,000 children crossed the border from Russia. So they were forcefully taken out of Ukraine. That is, these children have been deported and illegally displaced. Again, due to refusal of Russian authorities to give any official information, the fate of these children is currently unknown. The independent journalists from Svidstvo.info conducted their own investigation on the deportation of Ukrainians to Russia, and in accordance with their information, the Russian Orthodox Church played and plays a crucial role in the forced displacement of Ukrainians, including children. So this is no longer the secret that in Russia, even the church is under control of FSB. The survived witnesses, Danka, come back. The survived witnesses from Mariupol stated that Russian forced Ukrainians before deportation, Russian soldiers forced Ukrainians to go through the so-called filtration procedure in the filtration camps that are currently established on the occupied territories. So these are the places where the children, Ukrainian children, are separated from their parents, and then the children are forcefully transported to different regions of Russia, while what concerns the fate of their parents, and what is going on inside these filtration camps. We discussed actually in the last event, and you can find the presentation with all the links on the website. And now I'm giving the floor to Danka, who will share some information about the organizations and how they help children, the organization in Ukraine, and how they help children during this war. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Oksana. Yeah, next part of our presentation actually is about some organization in Ukraine which help children, but there are many of them actually, guys. And as I said, we will share this presentation after our meeting, and not after, during our meeting in chat, so we could check this organization, check all links, and learn more. So the first organization is Children's of Heroes. This organization is like is a charity foundation, and the mission of this organization is to support orphans, if I pronounce it correctly, of Russians Ukrainian war by blanketing them with care, warmth, and security. And for now, this organization, you could see like results of this organization. This foundation takes care about 235 families, and 103 families have already received prior financial assistance. Like 38 families like already have like some financial assistance in amount of $1,000 from partner organization. And another thing that this organization works with children, with helping them, with giving them some psychological help. So it's also important because you could imagine what these children like relive. So for now, 23 children like works with psychologists. And here you can learn more on the official website of Children of Heroes Foundation. You can donate, but you also could become a volunteer. So there is like two kinds of volunteering help. It's like agent, for example, give some clothing or psychological help or some products, and also long term. So you could be like a mentor, or like you could provide some educational training for those children. The application is available both in Ukrainian and in English language. So if you're interested, you can check this. Also, non-financial help. For now, organization is looking for some psychologists who help like Ukrainian children. And I'm not sure if I already mentioned it, but as important facts, why it's like Children's of Heroes, because heroes is our Ukrainian defenders who actually, unfortunately, died. And another next slide. Another organization, it could be known for some of you. It's Ukrainian education platform. And by the way, this organization is on the list of UPG Goodwill Wow. You can find this organization and learn more or even donate. Thank you, UPG, for this, by the way. Yeah, this organization was actually established in 2011, and the main like prior was to help children in some education process, but unfortunately, because full-scale invasion, this organization concentrate on some activities which help children during the war, not only in education, but at first in surviving. So there is three areas, main areas, leadership and ministry. The thing is that it's kind of support centers throughout Ukraine, and in these support centers, families and children, they could give they could have some assistance, some sources, some help from local volunteers. Another thing is community for families. It's initiative which works on providing some help for families and with children who unfortunately leave their houses, displaced persons. And another initiatives, another area of activity of Ukrainian education platform, it is building Ukraine together. And by the way, this organization, not organization, this initiative building Ukraine together was established in 2014. I was a volunteer of this organization. Before the full-scale invasion, we work on creating some public spaces, improving city infrastructure. But for now, building Ukraine together, focused on building long-term housing for Ukrainians displaced person, and also help, and also it's due to some volunteering camps. So volunteering are gazing together in one city and provide some help, and provides some building activities. Yes, and I will not concentrate in this slide so long. You can see on numbers how many children's they help, more than about 500 take part in non-formal education classes. Also, this organization help people to evacuate from Donetsk and Luhansk region. It's in the east of Ukraine, and other activities. Next slide, I guess. Yeah, another organization is Voice of Children, and you can the motto of this organization is that not a single child in Ukraine should be left alone with the war. And it's extremely important for us. And you can check the website. Check the website, and there is some for focus on work, like urgent assistance to women and children who unfortunately for now are refugees, actually psychological help, which is also important, and arranging some centers, centers for conducting group sessions with children who was evacuated, and also individual help for families. And the most interesting actually part is this how to say, this top. You can find many children's stories. It's really hard to read them, but if you want to learn more how children saw this war, see this war, just learn the story. They are like short one. You can check this and read more. And next slide, and next organization. Okay, I guess for this organization I will tell shortly. It's because we actually will have the guest speaker from this organization. It Teach for All. It's a global initiative, and this initiative, maybe someone of you hear already about it, because there is like 61 branches organization, and one of them is in Ukraine, which which name is Teach for Ukraine. And for now, Teach for Ukraine focus on like two main priorities. It's like continuing support children with support children's mental health, and another it's create some conditions for children studying even during the war. And here you can check website, and you also can see that Teach for All helps Ukrainian children who was evacuated abroad because of like this network. So because Teach for All is also represented in Poland, in Romania, in Slovakia, in Bulgaria, Lithuania, and unfortunately, there are so many Ukrainians refugees, children's refugees, and this organization help Ukrainians. Next slide. Oh, I guess it's also from me. There will be like from my point of view more optimistic one. I will show you. Yeah, this slide dedicated to children who actually help Ukraine to win. And do you remember like some in previous session we told you about some initiatives where foreigners or Ukrainians abroad create some fundraising campaign to help Ukraine. But in this case, even small children, even little children, help Ukraine. For example, 7 years old Sophia, she collect some she paints some pictures, and she collect fund to armed forces of Ukraine. And also in this picture you can see like Glory to Ukraine signed. Also, like these children, they sold flowers on the streets, and they also help Ukraine. These guys from Odessa, which actually also south of Ukraine, which located Odessa is located in south of Ukraine. These guys, Evgenia and Matvey, they selling own like toys, and here is like flyer: buy toys, help soldiers. And also here is a story, like many story. For example, Solomia's performance in Dnipro region, like street performance, and this little girl collected 11,000 hryvnias. And for this money, she bought like one bulletproof bulletproof vest, like bronzelet. Yeah. And even like 5 years old children helps Ukraine. For example, this girl, she makes some bake some cakes in order to help Ukrainian army. Like, by the way, these cakes, they cost only two 2 hryvnias. I don't know. I don't know which part of dollar is, but it seems for me it's like 1 or 2 cent. I'm not sure, but it's really small amount. But she did it, like, even it means like for she even small amount takes actions. Okay, Oksana, it's your part. Yes.
Yes, yes. So now I'm going to share with you some information about Ukrainian refugee children and also my personal story, since I work with Ukrainian children here in Italy. Basically, when the war was launched, my first desire was to come back home in Ukraine to my family. But I knew that it wasn't very wise thought, so I started to search for some job opportunities to help Ukrainians being here in Italy. It took some time, but finally I got the job in the local NGO here in Milan on the position of linguistic and cultural mediator for Ukrainian refugees. The important part of my job is not pure translation, but basically building a bridge between the social workers and the people who arrive here in order to meet their needs and create a supportive environment. For the last 2 months, I mainly worked with children. So now I will give you some general information and also share some personal insights I got while working with these children. So according to the United Nations Refugee Agency, around 10 million Ukrainians have been forced to flee their homes since the Russian invasion, full-scale invasion on 24th February 2022. This is around 1/4 of the entire population of Ukraine. So 1/4 of our population cannot live at home. They had to leave their homes. Many of those people fled to other regions of Ukraine, while over 5.7 million left the country, which is without any doubts the largest humanitarian crisis in Europe since the end of World War II. Due to the martial law enacted in Ukraine, Ukrainian men cannot leave the country. So the vast majority of the refugees are women and children. According to UNICEF, this is the data on April, 4.8 million of Ukraine's 7.5 million children, so more than half, were displaced, with 2 million having left the country. Of those, an estimated 1.9 million are of school age. What concerns Italy, since this is the country where I live and work, as of the end of May, more than 120,000 Ukrainian refugees have arrived since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, including around 40,000 refugee children. This is the data given by Luigi Di Maio, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Italy. So many Ukrainians have been temporarily hosted by ordinary Italian families. Others are being sheltered in reception centers. The Italian government allocated significant funds to help Ukrainians with accommodation, healthcare, and livelihood support. Many Ukrainian refugee children are being enrolled in Italian schools. Still, they face a lot of problems, including language and cultural barriers, and also psychological traumas related to what they have gone through. My job is to assist teachers to support these kids in the most effective way, taking into account some very specific issues that might arise. Next slide, please. So here I put some pictures taken at one of the schools I worked recently. The teachers and Italian pupils, they prepared some posters to welcome Ukrainians. For example, in the first one, you can see it's written pace, which means peace in Italian. And also on these hearts, you can see benvenuto or lasciavo prossimo, which is welcome in English. Then on the second picture, you can see like the small poster, it's written like, would you like to be our friend? So they greet the children in this way. And the last picture is called Pace in Ukraina, which means peace in Ukraine. So children are calling, Italian children are calling for peace in Ukraine. In one of the schools, moreover, that I wanted to mention, the children even learned a song, We Are the World, We Are the Children, and sang it the first day the Ukrainians arrived to welcome them, to demonstrate support and solidarity. Of course, there were also some sensitive situations that I would like you to know. For example, at one class, the teacher with the children painted a poster with the Ukrainian and Russian flags and wrote something like, we stand for peace. While I do realize their good intentions, one Ukrainian refugee girl, she just burst into tears. This was the reaction on the image of Russian flag, because for her, this flag symbolizes murder and death. So it's very important to pay attention to such things, since these kids who went through hell, they are extremely vulnerable. Next slide, please. Here, you can see some activities we arranged for the kids at schools. Due to the language barrier, they are not able to actively participate in the discussions during the lessons. Thus, we arranged some particular activities for them where they can relax a bit, have some fun, but also learn the language, the Italian language a bit. But still, it's not that easy. Next slide, please. Here I put some pictures from our art therapy sessions. As you can see, the kids often draw our Ukrainian symbols. Even unintentionally, they tend to use like blue and yellow colors while drawing something. On the left side, yeah, there are paintings from, no, on the right side. Okay, on the right side, yeah, there are paintings from one particular session. I asked the children to draw their biggest dream. On the first picture, you can see our Ukrainian flag and the symbol of our state. Here's the one that is always with me. In Ukraine, currently Russians kill for this. Then in the middle, there is also the flag and it's written peace and we are strong in Ukrainian language. Finally, the last picture, you can see it, it's on fire. Actually, this is the Moscow on fire. It's written there in Ukrainian. They may not understand much, as you see, but they do understand who offended them, who separated them with their parents, with their fathers, brothers, and who brought death to our land. And the biggest dream of this child is to see Russia on fire. This is not normal. I know this, but this is a reality. All of these children are traumatized. I worked recently with one boy who didn't talk. He just couldn't. He constantly drew himself hiding in the shelter and dead bodies around and the rockets. And there were moments when he started just to imitate the siren, the air alarm. That was everything that we could hear from him, just this. Also, last week, I worked with the 13-year-old girl. She's from Kherson, the area, the city which is currently occupied by Russia. She told me how was her life under occupation, how people she knew started to just disappear, how scary was the evacuation, taken that Russians shot the evacuation convoys and not everyone survived. They survived. Many of people she knew, they didn't. Many of people that she knew still live under occupation with constant fear and hope. The hope that the world will not forget about them. So as usually, we are asking you to not forget those people and break the hopes of our children to see their loved one alive. So that's all from me. Danka, what is next?
Yeah, actually, for now we have like two short slides. It's already known if you are not new in our session. Here you can find some ways how you can help Ukraine. There is a list of organizations to which you could donate. Some of them actually helps Ukrainians children. You can check. Also, we call you spread information about war in Ukraine in your social media, sign a petition, block Russian goods, and report Russia propaganda. And here you can check actually the news in English language about war in Ukraine. It's all independent media and it's really reliable media as far as we know. And for now, yeah, as we promised or as we announced, we have guest speaker, Mykola Overchenko. Actually, he is a teacher in Kyiv region, Zhukiv school. Besides that, he is a member of Teach for Ukraine. As I mentioned, the Teach for Ukraine is a part of international global network Teach for All. And actually, Oksana and me was cooperating with Mykola in order to conduct our project as a part of UPG Sustainability Leadership Program, but unfortunately because of war we can't do it. Yeah, so the floor is to Mykola and I will stop sharing and Oksana will help us with translation.